My name is Rick, and I'm going to be talking about Mean.io today, and we're going to be discussing how we're going to be creating a goals application from scratch using the Mean.io stack. So what is Mean.io? Mean.io is a friendly, fun JavaScript full stack framework that you can use for your next web application. Well, that's a lot of fancy words and not a lot of meaning. Well, Mean.io is just pretty much MongoDB, Express, AngularJS, and Node.js. Now, if you come from a standard web development background, you're more than likely used to working with Laravel, working with Ruby on Rails, Java Play. These frameworks might be familiar to you. In the recent years, there's been this development of these Node applications that are built using these tools. So what the heck is Mean.io? Well, we're going to be using MongoDB to store our application's information. We're going to be using Express to do our routing. We're going to use AngularJS to do our front end of the application. And Node.js is pretty much going to be powering this whole entire thing to work. Now, if you actually go to Google and you type in Mean.io, actually, if you type in mean, you're going to get these results. Mean.io is going to be the top, and you're going to get this GitHub repository and a bunch of other different links. But the tricky part is there's actually two different repositories that are very popular right now for the mean stack, which is this Mean.io, that's the whole address, mean.io, and meanjs.org. Now, you might be a little bit confused as far as to which one to use and which one's the proper one to use and why you should use one versus the other. I'll leave that up to you, but I'm actually going to go ahead and direct you to one of the blog posts that I wrote about a week ago. And this blog post is called Forking Mean.io. And I pretty much talk about in this blog post why Mean.io will fail in the long run and what Mean.io did right and what they did wrong. So go read this blog post. The link's below this video. So if you're interested more in that, you can go ahead and learn about that. But today, we're actually going to be using the Mean.io stack to work on this goals application. And my whole idea behind this goals application is to build a whole entire application from scratch using the mean stack. So from beginning all the way to the end, we'll have a goals application that I will be able to use actually in production. So right here, I covered a little bit about what the application is. It's going to require goals page, individual goal tracking. It's going to have an about. It's going to have a blog in Markdown, and it's going to have a contact form. Now, since you're here to learn about Mean.io, I want to point you to a couple of resources before we actually get even started with anything. Since we're not going to be using meanjs.org, we're going to go ahead and close this tab, close the Google tab. And as you can see, we're here on the Mean.io page. We're going to scroll down, and down here, there's the GitHub link. And this Mean.io repository is being maintained by a company called Linovate. And this company is selling multiple things. You should go really read that blog post that I wrote because I feel like Mean.io is trying to do like a million things and it can't really focus on one single thing. So, I talk more about in that blog post on why Mean.io is going to ultimately fail, but overall, it is a really, really good starting point for novice like myself and you to get started on using Node.js to build real-world applications. So as you can see, we're here on the GitHub page, and as you can see, they did a push to the repository 9 hours ago. There's over 1,000 commits as of December, and we're going to go over into setting up our development environment so we can get started with this. So we're actually going to be using a LAMP stack. If you're not familiar with a LAMP stack, I would definitely recommend you to this link here, setting up a LAMP stack. And these are a series of videos that I created about how you can go about setting up a whole entire LAMP stack on your computer. It's pretty simple, straightforward. So once you have a LAMP stack, you can actually jump back into this tutorial and continue where we are. So we're going to start up VirtualBox. Here it is, and we're going to go ahead and create a Ubuntu box. So we're going to go ahead and start that machine. And this machine is going to go ahead and start up. Since I've already configured this machine to SSH into the machine, we're going to be doing that over the terminal. Here's the terminal, And as you can see, this box is actually booting. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this, and this is going to go ahead and boot. So I'm going to go ahead and try to SSH into that machine. And I already configured this. Like I said, there's a whole blog post and series of videos you can actually follow so you can get to this point. Enter my secret password. And we have officially logged in. Now, if you go back to the blog post, we want to do a sudo apt-get install Node.js. And I actually did this already, so this is just going to return back that I've done this already. The next one is we're going to actually have to install npm. And what npm is, for those that are not familiar with it, it's just pretty much the Node package manager. So if you come from a Rails background, these are kind of like your gems. So installing gems, this type of deal. If you're used to a Linux background, it's going to be your apt-get sort of thing. So it's pretty much just an easy way for us to manage Node packages. Okay, so if you can double check if Node is installed by doing node -v. This should return you back a version of Node. Now we're going to go ahead and install npm, and this is going to give me an error because I already have it installed. Next thing you want to do is you want to set up the mean.cli tools. So what these are the sudo.npm install -g mean cli, and these are the cli tools that are by Linovate. And these pretty much set you up with the command line interface to interact with the mean repository. So what the heck am I talking about? If you go back to the GitHub repository, you can click on Linovate, and you see right here, mean cli. So this is pretty much what we installed right here, what's being installed right now. And as you can see, this is the command line, and it tells you kind of how this is working. If you do a -g, that means globally. So you can have the global tools globally. And as you can see, you can run a couple of commands, mean help, mean init, run into your application, do a couple things. We're going to come back to my tutorial, and we're almost should be done here. We're going to go ahead and clear the screen out. And now we're ready to configure our Apache configuration because, like I said, we're running on a server and there's some advantages to this. Go read the blog post about installing a LAMP stack if you want to learn more about this. So we're going to go ahead and touch this file. As you can see, I got rejected with no permissions. We're going to go ahead and do a sudo on that. And now I'm going to go ahead and edit that file. And as you can see, it's empty. And what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and set up our configuration file that I have already pre-written. And pretty much all this is telling Apache to forward port 3000 for us to be able to access it from our machine. So we're going to go ahead and write that out. Now we're going to go ahead and activate this site. We went ahead and activated it. Now we're going to go ahead and reload Apache to let it know that we went ahead and updated that. And now we're going to go into our machine. So I'm going to open up a new tab on my terminal, and I'm going to go into the host file. I'm going to go ahead and log in with my password, and I'm going to go to the very end of the line, and I'm going to go ahead and type in the machine address, which I already know, and I'm going to go ahead and type in my domain name that I want to type in my browser. Go ahead and hit write that, and now that we have done that, I'm going to go ahead and close this tab, and I'm back on my server. Now that I'm on the server, I want to go ahead and change directories into my www directory. Now I want to run this command called mean init. What this is going to do is going to initialize your project to whatever name you give it. So for this example, we're going to be doing no rick. And it's going to ask you what is the name of the application. By default, it's no rick, so that's fine. And it's going to ask you what kind of task runner you want to use. So there's gulp and grunt. And if you don't know the difference between neither of those, it's fine. Just go ahead and use grunt for now, and you can learn more about gulp later. And this is going to go ahead and clone that repository that I'm talking about. So we're going to go back here into GitHub. We're going to go ahead and Linovate, and we're going to click on mean. And as you can see, the last commit to this repository was 9 hours ago by this guy right here with this funny face. And as you can see, it was 9 hours ago. And if you do cd no rick, so we got to change it to that directory. And now we're in there. If you do git log, we're going to say hard coding deps. And as you can see, if you come back here, it says hard coding deps. So as you can see, this is right off the main branch of the repository. So this is strictly for development. This is somebody actually writing code. This isn't production ready. As you can see, this isn't something you really want to be doing if you don't know what you're doing, type of deal. So we're gonna go ahead and run npm install. And what this is going to do is going to look at our npm packages. So if you vim into package.json, you see all this. These are pretty much all the prerequisites that are required for the application to run. So we're going to go ahead and do npm install, and this is going to go ahead and install all those packages for us. And we're going to go ahead and do, so this is going to go ahead and fetch all those packages and install all this for us. If you get an error when this is running, more than likely it's because you don't have the right permissions on the folder. Take a while for it to run through and install those npm dependencies. So we need to run one more command. If we go back up to that screen we got from mean.io, so let me scroll all the way up. See if I can find it. Here we go. As you can see right here, it told us, hey, make sure you do this. You do an npm install, then you run grunt. But this more than likely a bug with their guide. What you have to do is you have to do bower install before you actually do grunt. And what this is going to do is now bower is another package manager, and bower controls all the JavaScript libraries. Okay, so that went ahead and finished. And if you want to see what the dependencies for those, you want to vim into bower.json. And as you can see, we have a couple of dependencies, Angular, jQuery, obviously. Okay, now that we have done that, we're going to go ahead and run grunt. And this is going to go ahead and run a grunt file. And pretty much if you come from a C++ background, or if you're used to writing in C or in Java, this is usually when you compile your program, you give it to the compiler, and the compiler says, hey, what do I do with this? Is this right? Did I have the right syntax? Is everything the way you expect it to be? Okay, so as you can see here, now we have this mean app started on port 3000 development. So now if you go into our browser, we're going to go into no-rick port 3000. Well, bam, there you go. We have a whole entire main application pretty much pre-built for us, ready for us to start coding and getting our application going. So some of the issues here with this application is it looks pretty sweet, right? We can join, we can log in, we have a lot of boilerplate code already created for us, but ultimately we don't really necessarily need everything that we're given us, because our system requirements and our user requirements and our use cases do require some of it, but not all of it. And finally, we're going to go over here and make sure that's it for part one. Now, before I go, I actually want to show you a bug that the mean.io team has. So if you click on build with mean.io, it actually takes you to this blank page. This is all there is here. As you can see, like I said, very experimental. It's not complete. Don't expect any support. And more than likely, if you find anything broken, you probably have to do a pull request and submit some code to actually go ahead and fix it. So there you have it. My name is Rick. Thanks for watching, and get ready for part 2.